Welcome back to the One Girl Revolution podcast. Kate here, and it is so good to be back in the swing of things with you all. As you know, we took a little reprieve, a little break, but we are coming back with a new fire, a new vigor, and a new excitement with so many incredible stories of world-changing women and girls. Make sure that you subscribe to the One Girl Revolution podcast wherever you listen to podcasts, and please share it with everyone you know. We have a new episode coming every Wednesday, and you don't want to miss a single story. These women will inspire you when you're having a hard day and losing hope. They will challenge you and encourage you to be the change that you want to see in the world, and they will make you want to start a revolution. Incredible women, inspiring stories. Today is no exception. I am so honored and excited to welcome Lynn, the founder of We Three Queens. We Three Queens was actually founded by three queens, but the other two women have since moved on, so Anne is the last queen standing. We Three Queens community outreach provides much needed resources and outreach to the community, families, children, and individuals. They offer a wide range of support and resources needed to help the growth and betterment of the community. Anne has such an inspiring and powerful personal story. I can't wait for you to hear about it. It includes incarceration. She spent some time in prison and really has come full circle. It's amazing. All the things that she's been through and now how she's helping so many people in her community. You're not going to want to miss this episode. So without further ado, here's Anne. Anne, welcome to the One Girl Revolution podcast.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. I've been looking forward to this.
I've been looking forward to this conversation for so long. We've had a wild couple of days here in Detroit. We had an ice storm, so a lot of people lost power, and I know it's taken us a minute to get this together. But just for the listeners, we actually met at a Kwanzaa party at one of our mutual friends' houses back in December. And
we did.
The second I met you, Anne, I was like, I got to have Anne on the podcast. I want to hear all about your story and We Three Queens, and there's just so much to talk about. And so I'm really excited to have you on.
Oh, wow. Thank you so much. I know it was definitely great to meet you and hearing about One Girl World and the podcast and the great things that you are doing out here for women. And you know, a lot of times we get our lines blurred in colorism, but you know, what you're doing is so great. And the fact that colorism is not involved, it is just beautiful to me. So thank you for that.
Oh, thank you so much. I think it's so important. And you and I think, have so much synergy and commonality between focusing on all of our commonality, right? Like where we can come together. And I know that We Three Queens really focuses on that.
Most definitely. So We Three Queens is definitely a smorgasbord of commonalities. We Three Queens started as a conglomerate. So yes, we love to be able to put energies together and join with like minds so that we can make the greatest for our city.
Yeah, well, you are making such a massive impact, and I want to talk about all of that, all the great work that you're doing. But before we get into that, I would love to rewind and just for you to share a little bit about your own story, your upbringing, where you come from, and maybe kind of what led you on this journey to We Three Queens.
So let's see, my journey to We Three Queens, it has been a long and tumultuous journey. So we're just going to say that you're probably going to get the first interview out of me that tells my journey from beginning to end. Okay. Well, my name is Lynn. I was born to a single mother. Her name was Lynn. I am the youngest of 5 daughters, biologically. My mother growing up, you know, like I said, she was a single mother. So it was definitely challenging raising 5 girls. And, you know, if you think about it, when you get to raising 5 girls, you also have to figure out which one is going to act like the little boy in the family, which one is going to come home with the cut open forehead and the busted open knees and get in trouble from jumping off people's garage. Well, that was me. So growing up, I was an extreme tomboy. We only lived in two neighborhoods, which, some people live in the same neighborhood all their life. But when you talk about from the neighborhood that I'm from the background that I'm from, the um, economical background that I'm from, saying two neighborhoods is a big deal, you know. So I got into a lot of trouble as a child, innocent trouble, but still trouble. Like my mom, like, why did you do that? And like, well, I didn't mean to. I was, but you weren't supposed to be. So we did have that troubles growing up. Our mother was a cigarette smoker, a chain smoker, and she was an alcoholic. So we had our good days and our bad days, depending on what day she had and what liquor she was drinking. So, um, but above all that, we always knew no matter, how much she had to drink, we knew that we were loved and she kept us safe. She kept us safe. And that meant a lot to me in our life. But, you know, my mom was the best woman ever. If you needed a hot meal in the neighborhood, she had a hot meal for you. If you needed a place to get away from home and you were a child who were in bad situations, she had a place for you to come. Her door was always open and she was always willing to help, from having her daughters go help neighbors who now needed help caring for their children. She made sure that she was there to help everyone. So I really thank her for how she raised us. Like I said, it wasn't the best upbringing, but she did instill some of the best moral characters in her daughters.
Donate to One Girl Revolution's nonprofit organization to help us continue our work, highlighting inspiring women and girls that are changing the world through their lives, promoting their work and their organizations, and building a powerful and positive force out in the world dedicated to empowering women, their voices, and their stories. Donate at onegirlrevolution.com/donate. That's the number onegirlrevolution.com/donate.
I was living out of a recording studio that we had at the time. I had became a manager of musicians and poets and things like that. So we were, I was the manager and of I Support Media Group, and we had a studio that we had on Woodward and 6 Mile. So I would stay in between there and friend's house while my two youngest children were with my daughter. And my father ended up getting sick, and now he has lung cancer. So now I'm trying to figure out, how am I going to do this? I'm an entrepreneur that just started. And even though we're shelling money out by the boatloads, nothing is really coming in because it takes money to make money. And it's just going crazy. But I'm figuring out and I'm doing it. And so in 2013, my dad passed away. And I left Florida, and I stopped in Kentucky where my nephew stayed, went back from Florida, left Kentucky, went back to Michigan, dropped my auntie and my brother off who were in the car with me, and went to head back to Kentucky because I just felt like I had started having so many medical issues because of stress, high blood pressure, on what was going on in my life, that I felt like I needed to change, and I was running. I was running away. Well, in my running away, I had a package that didn't belong to me, that not even really thinking what could be in it or what was in it. Can you drop this off for me? Sure, yeah, I could do that. Well, I did. Well, I took it with me. I didn't drop anything off. I was detained by the police, and I I was arrested. Um, so I stayed in jail for almost 6 months and finally came up with the exorbitant amount of bail which they wanted me to pay. They had all the information and everything that they needed to know, that they asked me. Um, well, once I came up with their $110,000 bail and I got out, they like, hey, well, we're going to put this ankle monitor on you too. Cool. Put the ankle monitor on. I'm going to go get what I got to get. I'm going to go to my apartment and I'm just going to stay there till it's over. Um, I I called my daughter who had my other two younger children, and my oldest daughter told me that I needed to call my sister. So my nephew had just picked me up. He was taking me to Walmart. I called my sister. My sister was crying. My sister, all she kept saying was, I love you. I love you. I love you. I miss you so much. I love you. And I'm like, well, what is wrong? What is going on? Why are you doing this? Why are you crying? What's happening? And she said, I'm dying. And I'm in the middle of Walmart and I'm like, what in the hell? We don't use our better judgment when things like that happen. So I went to the art and craft aisle, got some scissors, cut the ankle bracelet off, and told them to take me to the Greyhound station. I'm going home. I'm going to see my sister. We get to the Greyhound station. They're like, we don't have any buses going out to Detroit because it's a snowstorm there. There are no buses. Everything is grounded. I'm like, okay. And they're like, well, what do you want to do? And I'm like, well, just take me to a hotel. I'll get a bus out or something tomorrow. So we go to the hotel. They drop me off at a hotel. The next morning, my nephew calls me. His mom had passed away. So my sister had passed. I did not make it to see her. Um, I did make it home later on that night. And I was home to help put my sister, to rest and to comfort my nephew. She had 3 sons. And it was really hard time. It was a really hard time knowing that I'm here. I'm not supposed to be here. I'm on the run, trying to deal with the death of my sister, my best friend, in a lot of ways. And dealing with the fact that I don't know how much time or how much freedom that I'm going to have. And so, day after day, week after week, a month went by. And exactly a month to the day that I got home, I knew that the police were coming to the house. I knew it. It's like I could just sense it. So I went and put on what I was supposed to have on and I waited for them to come. And they came and they got me. And the federal marshal said they didn't know how to get anywhere around the city. They didn't know how to get to the jail. Now I have to lead them to the jail to take me to jail, and I do it. And they say, well, they said the reason there's so many of us is because they said, consider you armed and dangerous, but you don't seem armed and dangerous to me. I said, because I'm not. That's what they told y'all to come and get me. And they like, oh, yeah. So another month went by. Finally, before the time ran out for them to come and get me, Kentucky did send somebody to come and get me. I went to court and they charged me with escape. Not the fact that I wasn't inside a building, they still charge you with escape. So they charged me with escape, tampering with an electronic prisoner monitoring device, and bail jumping. And I was given along with the trafficking charge that they charged me. They gave me 10 years in jail. At 85% of the time. Well, only people that were supposed to go to jail for 85% of the time were people who had crimes against children or crimes against senior citizens. So I'm like, why violent crimes? Why are y'all giving me 85%? But it's a Commonwealth state, so they basically can do whatever it is they want to do. So I ended up getting a prison time. In prison, I had to fight them. I fought them and I fought them and I fought them. And I took law courses and I stayed in the law library and I took paralegal courses. And you know what? No, this is not what you guys are going to do to me. So finally, after 2 years, they're like, called me to the office. They're like, well, you got to go. You made parole. And I'm like, what? I end up making parole. So I had to leave. I had to go. They're like, we're going to put you in a halfway house because you're not from here. Where are you? I'm like, I'm not from, I'm going home. I'm going back to Michigan. I'm not staying in Kentucky. So they was like, well, that's got to be a ICOT transfer. And we're going to, put you in a halfway house and you'll be able to go out and work and do this and do that. Well, the halfway house they sent me to was not that halfway. It was actually, she said, this is the only place we could send you and you have to be out of our prison today. It was a 6-month treatment program. So it ended up turning into 2.5 years in that program.
Watch One Girl Revolution's Emmy-nominated short documentary, The Girl Inside, on our YouTube channel or at onegirlrevolution.com. The Girl Inside features a poignant look at the stories of incarcerated women within Cook County Jail and a life-changing academic course taught by Dr. Laura Biaggi called Storytelling as a Healing Art. This short documentary reunites Dr. Biaggi with 5 of her former students for a special one-day course on the transformative power of our stories and our voices. And what is revealed is the girl inside. Watch the Emmy-nominated short documentary, The Girl Inside, today on YouTube or at onegirlrevolution.com.
Working at the grocery store, and I go to clock in, and in my boss's office, there is a box with some shirts in it that has something about food for Thanksgiving. I'm like, well, what is this about? Tell me what this is about. And he got to telling me, well, this is one of our customers. She has a organization, and on Thanksgiving, she's going to give away food, and we're sponsoring her. And I'm like, oh, okay. Well, when she come pick her shirts up, can you tell her to come and talk to me? So she came over to register and she's like, he said you wanted to talk to me. And I'm like, well, yeah, this year is I want to say it was the 7th or 8th, maybe 9th, food for thanks. And what we do is we give away plates of of prepared meals, hot meals, to anybody who needs them, not just the homeless, but people sometimes don't have refrigerators, sometimes don't have stoves to cook, sometimes just want to be in the midst of other people. So I was like, you're more than welcome to come and join us. I said, do you know about how many people you'll be feeding? She was like, well, I just started this, so I'm only doing a few people. I was like, you're more than welcome to come pick the food up from us. Take what you need, distribute it to whoever you want to, come work with us. And that was LaDonna Hicks. The first lady, that was Aisha Bailey. Her name is, we call her Mawat. And so that's how we met. And then when we decided, me and Donna, we were already, we started doing lunch bag giveaways where we would just pack hundreds of lunch bags and give them away. We would do hygiene giveaways where we would pack hygiene packs, socks, things like that, and just give them away. And then I'm like, we need a shelter. That's what we need. We need a shelter. Started a campaign for a shelter. And I'm like, you know what? We need to all come together. Donna, I need you to meet Mwah, I need you to meet Donna. And we came together and we formed We Three Queens Community Outreach Organization Conglomerate.
That's amazing. I think it's so powerful when women come together. And I love that story of just how you organically came together and you just started doing what you know. I think it's so important for people to hear from women like you who have gone through it, who've experienced it, but also the power of purpose, even how you're taking classes while you're in prison and challenging the system and asking questions. And I'm sure that you were able to be a support for so many people, but then also getting out and finding your purpose now in a beautiful new way with We Three Queens and the impact that you're able to make. And also, I think it's because of your own story and your own struggles throughout your life, whether it be with your family story or your own experiences, that you're just able to help so many people because you know what it feels like, what they're going through.
And going to prison, you know, I do firmly believe that if I hadn't, I would not be here having this interview. We Three Queens would not exist. You know, it saved my life. It saved my life. It forces you to take your high blood pressure medication and your thyroid medication and your epilepsy medication and everything that you're supposed to do. It gives you time to sit and breathe, you know, when you're doing the right things. Now, if you ain't doing the right things in there, it does not give you that time. But when you're doing the right things and trying to figure out where you went wrong and how you're going to make it better when these days are over, because they can't last and they aren't going to last, I knew that not being there, I would probably not be here. So I'm not going to say that it was the worst experience of my life. As bad as it was, I'm grateful that I'm alive today.
That is such an important aspect too. I'm sitting here getting teary-eyed and just like listening to your wisdom and to your own experiences. But I think we all can relate to going through something difficult. And my friend, Miss Lely, who I met at Cook County Jail, she talked about how she was an empty shell before she ended up in Cook County. And then she found herself. She started taking classes and found her true purpose, and now is able to help so many others and inspire so many others. And so I think it's an important thing for all of us to think about. And me just thinking about all of the difficulties that you've gone through, not even like excluding your own cancer journey. I think it's so terrifying, and we can feel sometimes like life is just pounding us and it's just negative thing after negative thing. And you shared so much of that, but you are just such a beacon of light, and you've been able to come through it, fight through it, and come into this beautiful place where through We Three Queens and your own life, you're able to help so many people. And so just, I'm so grateful for your wisdom and for your own story and your own experiences.
Thank you. Thank you. So, fast forward, let's go to starting We Three Queens.
Yeah. And I want to hear about the work that We Three Queens do, because I know that there are a lot of different facets to it and you do so much great work.
We Three Queens, we try to cover everything. We try to cover everything. Our slogan is "We care and are here to help." So, growing up, we were those children who benefited from the Christmas programs and the Easter programs and the food box giveaways and the Goodwill boxes. And, you know, we were those children. And unfortunately, there were times in my children's life when my children were those children. It became important to me to be that beacon, to be that light, to be that help, not a handout, but a help. So in 2019, we came together. We formed We Three Queens. We did Christmas adopt a families. Our first Christmas adopt a family. I want to say we adopted 12 families. We did the Thanksgiving at the first Thanksgiving together. I think we did as a conglomerate we did over 4,000 meals out to the public. We did great with hygiene packs, bagged lunches, free clothes. We gave away free adult diapers, free blue pads, just whatever somebody needed. We wanted to be there to help them. 2 years ago, which was in 2020, we opened our doors to We Three Queens. And we started downtown in the Venture X building in the financial district. And they really helped us out. You know, I was just calling because I knew we needed a place. We really didn't have too much money, but God is going to afford us an office space so we could see clients, keep our records, and get this thing moving. And I called downtown, and a lady named Michelle answered the phone. I can't remember what her last name was. And I'm calling downtown. I know it's downtown. We know what the rent is downtown on the office. And I was telling her about us. And she was like, I was like, can you tell me? She said, why don't you just schedule an appointment? Come on in, y'all come on in and see me. She said, I'm going to make sure y'all leave here with a new office space. I said, okay. And I'm talking to Muad. I'm like, girl, we ain't got nothing to cover this office space monthly. Like, we both, she worked at, I think she was working at a boys' home, and I worked at a clinic, a medical clinic. So, I'm like, we gonna make it, we gonna work this out. But when we got in there, Michelle had been so helpful, her and instrumental in going in between us and the owner of the building, that he ended up giving us 4 months rent half off. And then after the 4 months, he gave us $150 off our total rent until we moved out of that building. So it was a very wonderful thing, very humbling experience to now be able to just wake up one day and say, you know what, this is what we're doing. This is how we're going to do it. And we can do this. And we did. And Muat and myself, Donna's mother had become sicker and sicker at that time. So Donna wasn't really, she wasn't spending time doing the events and coming into the office because she had to take care of her mother more. So me and Muat, we set everything up. We got the bank account set up. We got our file system set up. We set the computer systems up. We did. Now it's time for us to be 501c3. So we got all the paperwork, figure out how to become 501c3. We Three Queens. We are a community outreach organization dedicated to the betterment of our community, families, and individuals. So what that means is We Three Queens, we provide temporary housing and sheltering assistance. So if somebody comes to us and they don't have a place to stay, they're homeless, they've had a tragedy or something of that nature, and you call us, and we're going to say, okay, we're going to find you a space. How many kids? We're going to ask them, how many children do they have if they don't have any? And if we can pay for it out of our budget, we pay for them a hotel room or something like that for, a few days to a few weeks. If we don't have it in our budget, then we resource them out to other organizations, Cass Community Social Service. Who we work with the most and who is the greatest is Motor City Mitten Mission. That is an organization run by a wonderful, phenomenal woman by the name of Gail Marlowe. And it's the best thing ever. So we refer them to Gail. Gail gets them what they need. And now we have satisfied a need in our community. We also provide resources for utility assistance. So same thing with the temporary housing. If we have it in our budget, we pay it. If we don't, well, we know that they always have to start with a SER. So do you need help filling out this SER? We'll help them fill out the SER. Once the SER is approved and we get the SER approved, we take it further. We don't just leave that SER open. Okay, so now that we got you the SER, let's go ahead and get you over to THAW or True North Community Services or the United Way so that they can finish paying that bill and help you build a budget plan. So we do that. We also help with food. If somebody calls us and say, hey, we don't have any food, we put them together a food box. We deliver it. Baby items. We give away diapers, bottles, onesies, just, whatever a baby needs, and we have the items. And even if we don't have the items, we have bought baby beds, cribs, and crib mattresses and things like that, just because we've had clients who that's what they needed. We do so much, like just we have helped with burials. We have helped with wow, some of everything, like getting people back and forth to their job. Um, there's a lady named Miss Slater. Her sister was murdered in I can't remember, Harper Woods jail, had died in Harper Woods jail. Um, and then her house got burned out after it. And it was a big thing. And so her house ended up catching on fire, and her kids no longer had a place to stay. Well, we were able to pay for her a hotel for a few weeks, So those are the things that we try to do. We try to just make sure that our community has what they need, and don't have to feel like they're begging or selling their soul or their firstborn child to get those resources.
Yeah.
Um,
And so many like things that we're all experiencing right now, right? Like DT energy is so expensive. And so just
oh my.
being able to pay your bills or baby diapers. Like I have a friend who recently had a baby shower and they encouraged every person to bring a pack of diapers because they're just
Hmm.
so expensive. And so I just love your mission that it's like anybody can call you for anything and you'll figure it out. If you have the budget for it, you can support them. But if not, you'll find the connection in the city that can help them, which is amazing.
Yes, yes. And so that's our goal. Outside of that, we do community events, several yearly, like a bunch of annual events. Our next two events that are coming up is our annual Easter event and our annual Mother's Day event. So our annual Easter event, what we do is we pack a lot of plastic eggs with candy. We have the Easter bunny. This year one year we did a helicopter Easter drop. This year is not in the budget, but we are trying to get it in the budget. So we are asking people to send donations for that. But what we do is we do the helicopter egg drop, um, a Easter egg hunt, and a kitty disco because we haven't been able to have those kitty discos in so long. I remember we used to have them when we were kids and we loved them. So we have all the kids come out Easter Day. We do thousands of eggs in a field. They Easter egg hunt. We give them Easter baskets. We give them chocolate bunnies. They have all their eggs. We give cash prizes in the dance contests, and we also have other prizes that we give out. So we are always fortunate enough to have two other organizations working on us with this. One just became 501c3. It is called Our Black Youth, and that is run by Howard Slaughter. And then we have a social organization that comes out and works with us on Easter also. They are called the Detroit Dynamic Takeover. So we are very, very, very appreciative to have them. DJ Big Rob, he always comes through for the children in our events whenever we need him to. And make sure everybody has a good time. So this year, we have not finalized our location yet because normally we have it at Nandi's Knowledge Cafe, which is on 71 Oakman. But last year we had so many children and parents and people. I don't know if the space will be accommodating this year. So we're looking into that. And then we do our annual Mother's Day event. So last year I started a Mother's Day event, and I put it in loving memory to my mother. Um, my mother is not here. I love Mother's Day. Unfortunately, my kids, they don't care about Mother's Day. I love Mother's Day. I used to love to, when I was a kid, pick flowers out other people's gardens and give them to my mama and all types of things. So last year I said, you know what? Let's do something for the mothers. We have so many wonderful mothers. So we did a Mother's Day brunch and balloon release. So we did a brunch, and we had like painting with a twist. We had wine and paint and brunch, and we had dancers and comedians and poetry and the balloon release. The balloon release was one of the most healing things about that day. For so many of us who are mothers that were there, and so many of mothers who have lost their children have showed up. And you just saw women hugging women that they didn't even know, in camaraderie of being able to write a message on this balloon to their mother or their child and send it to heaven for them. It was just so healing. So we do have that coming up again. Um, Actually, we have two.
What can people do to support your work? And then on the flip side, if they're not in the Detroit area, because I'm sure that they can volunteer, they can donate. But if they're not in the Detroit area, how can we emulate your work wherever we are?
Just be the change that you want to see. That's how you'll emulate the work. Be the change that you want to see. If you know that there is a need in your community, you may not be able to fill it for everybody, but a wise man told me once that good done is good done, and we never know the impact that we can have on plenty just by helping one person. Just by helping one person, we don't know that impact. So my thing is that if you want to emulate the work, just do it. Make sure you put your plan together. If you want a 501c3, make sure you start with your EIN, get your bank account, keep everything in good standing. Go ahead, get your articles of incorporation, get your 501c3. My biggest issue, how people can help me, is through donations, because everything that I do basically at this part is somewhat self-funded. No, almost all self-funded, So we may have $50,000 to $100,000 that we are spending a year on the community, but that is also taking money away from my household for me to be able to provide for the community, because I do have to work to make that money, So the biggest thing is donations and support. If you don't have the money, share the flyers, share the information, share the story, so that's the biggest thing for us.
And I will put your website and all of your social media links in the show notes so people can easily find you and figure out how to get in touch and follow all of the great events that you have coming up. If they want to volunteer, if they want to donate, they could even donate products too. It doesn't always have to be money.
Most of our donations. Now, this year we took in $25,828 in donations, which was a great amount, but only $7,000 was cash. The rest was in-kind donations and product donations, because we do need the hygiene products. We do need the non-perishable food items to give away, so the baby diapers, the adult diapers that, someone may not be able to fit anymore, or you've just had laying around from an old surgery or something. So we need all of those things, and we accept them all. And they are just as much needed and appreciated as cash.
Yeah. And I'll just say, if people have something like that to donate, to reach out to you, because you also, if you guys don't need it, so many people that could use it, and you'll easily connect people, which is amazing. And you're such a one girl revolution, which is obviously the reason why I wanted to have you on this podcast. But who's a one girl revolution to you? Who's a woman or girl that's inspired you or still is inspiring you today?
Wow. I could say my mom, but that is definitely a given to say my mom. So I'm going to say Miss Amy, my pastor's wife, our first lady at our church in Louisville, Miss Amy. Miss Amy, when she would come and talk to me and tell us, you can do whatever you want to do. How loved we were, and how important we were, and how intelligent and smart, and how we could rise above our situations because she had rose above hers. and that was just so very inspiring to me. And the fact that I have been home from prison now for 9 years. 9 years, I still get the calls to say I love you. I still get the text message to say, I see what you're doing and I'm so proud of you. I've been asked to come back to the halfway house that I was in and speak in Louisville the next time I come back to Louisville. I have been fortunate enough to go back into that halfway house and take hygiene bags and little gifts for the women that was jeered, just to let them know that I've sat in these seats and I love you the way that God loves you, the way we were taught to love each other. And that if I can do this, you can too. So dealing with Miss Amy and having her in my life in such an influential time, a time where I really felt broken, and her telling me, girl, you're not broken. God is using you. He's got a plan for you. And he did. And I appreciate her. And she has been one of the most influential women in my life.
That's beautiful. And you are a beacon, and I'm so grateful to have had you on the podcast to share your story, the incredible work that you're doing with We Three Queens. I will continue to follow. I can't wait to hang out with you soon in Detroit, in our city. And I think there's so much synergy, like I said at the beginning, between you and I and what we're trying to accomplish in the world. And I'm just so grateful for you. But before I let you go, I always end this podcast on one question because we're focused on women and girls. If you could leave women and girls around the world with one message, what would it be?
Never let your past define your future. And never let someone tell you that you aren't as important as you are. To know your worth and multiply it by 10 million, because that's what you are.
And you are such a gift. And I, again, am so grateful to have spent this time with you. Thank you so much for being on the One Girl Revolution podcast. And thank you for all the incredible work that you do.
Thank you so much for having me. It is a One Girl Revolution.
Please follow us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram at One Girl Revo. That's the number One Girl REVO. And you can find more information on One Girl Revolution at onegirlrevolution.com. That's the number onegirlrevolution.com.